How do we communicate through the tough experiences where we, really love someone and we care about them and we don't want to hurt someone's feelings or have someone else feel rejected? Yet it's very clear that we have different truths or different needs and different feelings. And so I want to share with you today one of my favorite step-by-step processes when it comes to radical honesty with an overtone of compassion. And one of the big subjects, because I was speaking to a friend this week, is, what do you do when you meet someone new and the connection is amazing and you laugh together, you're having fun together, you love hanging out, yet in your mind and in your body that you're really enjoying a platonic friendship and that's all you want. Yet one day you start to notice that this other person starts to flirt with you a little bit more, starts to touch you a little more intimately, and it really just doesn't feel good in your body. Yet you start to notice contraction because it's that point where, this really doesn't feel good and I really like this person and I don't want to scare them away. So potentially, I know I've been there, is you might be in that situation where holding your voice back, and by holding your voice back, things get really messy. Your breath contracts, your body contracts, you start to feel more reactive towards the things that they're doing that might potentially be crossing some boundaries of yours. And eventually it turns out to be this big explosion and wreaking havoc not just on the friendship, but more so on your own well-being. So we're going to go through a five-step process, but 2 steps with that. And I love getting still to really sort through my thoughts, my feelings, my needs, my boundaries prior to having a conversation that might be edgier and uncomfortable. Right? It prepares us so when we enter into that space, we can just have greater clarity. So the first piece that I want to suggest doing is when you sit and find stillness, reflect on this situation, this new friendship, and feel into really how vulnerable it potentially is to you to really share this level of radical honesty that you're preparing to share with this person. And just take a breath and feel what really acknowledging your own level of vulnerability that you're choosing to show up in feels like in your body. Give the nervous system, that's what we're doing, we're giving the nervous system a chance to catch up and recognize what's happening. Once you've gone through that with a pen and paper, first step is write down what you are celebrating about this new friendship. So you want to offer acknowledgments. And we start difficult communications by acknowledging what is working, because that shows love, it shows there's an enthusiasm, and there's something that you share versus immediately going to your nose and sounding more like something's being rejected. So it's, again, everything we're doing here is just opening up a door to greater connection and greater intimacy. So acknowledgments and celebrations, you're going to write this down. Maybe you're celebrating how much you laugh together, that you love going to the river together, or you love going hiking together, like there's fun being together. Write that list down and be super clear on what those are. Once you've gone through what you've celebrated, I want you to sit and get really clear on the things that have been taking place or that would potentially take place that don't feel good for you. What are you a really clear no to in this moment? And one of the things that we know, right, is change is happening in every single moment. So what you're a no to today can potentially change months down the road that you can revisit. Never be scared to revisit a conversation. I always say the more we communicate, the better. So what are you a no to? And write that down, because often expressing boundaries and the no right, it can be really edgy and really uncomfortable, especially if we have a tendency of really wanting to care and take care of someone else and not hurt someone else's feelings. So maybe you're a no to them touching you in a certain way, or having sexual interactions, or kissing on the lips. Like, get really specific so there's no room for misinterpretation of what your no's are. And take a breath. I love pausing between these processes and take a breath, feel like what it feels in your body, because getting clear on your no's, you might even feel as you're writing, your shoulders are going up to your ears, you're getting a little nervous, your heart might be racing a little bit more. Take a couple breaths. We always want that nervous system to catch up and to have the space to feel calm during these processes. The next piece is get clear on what you're a yes to, right? Because at the beginning, you were celebrating and acknowledging this new friendship, acknowledging what you really admired and loved about this new person that you just met. And so now get clear, what do you want to experience with them? What are you willing to? What are you a yes to experiencing with them? Write down the list, because this is going to be the piece that's going to lead into potentially a new co-creation with this friendship. So once you have the whole list down and you've really sat with it and got clear with it, now that step comes in is creating the space to communicate this to this new friend. And so I'd recommend when you go into that and scheduling time and going out with this person is really when you start to communicate, check back into that vulnerability piece. Because notice if you feel nervous, if you feel like you're vulnerable, because we don't necessarily love to be vulnerable all the time because it can be edgy. But again, when we step into something with greater vulnerability, even though it might feel edgy and scary, it's often going to get us what we want. And that's that intimacy, the understanding, the connection, someone else to feel more invited to be with us. And so if I was going into a conversation like this that felt super edgy, I might approach it by saying, I notice I have something I want to share with you. And what I'm recognizing right now is I'm noticing my heart's racing a little bit and I'm feeling a little nervous in my body. And this is really vulnerable for me to open my heart up to you in this way. And so by me starting like that, if that was my truth in the moment, it means just putting it all out, right, on the platform. Don't hide, own it, because hiding what we know in the past, again, creates a contraction, creates more resistance, and it definitely goes the opposite way, right? It creates more disconnect from the person we want to share with. And by starting with that really radical vulnerability, now actually this person likely is more inspired to have more compassion and empathy and really more deep listening and presence to what you're about to share. And then go through that list. Share with them the things like, wow, I'm so excited about this new friendship. I love the way we laugh together and our mutual interest, and I love going on hikes for you and the way that you really appreciate nature. Like, celebrate them. And then clearly share with them again your no's, your yeses, and then ask them, give them an invitation. Do you want to co-create this platonic friendship with me? I can imagine that you potentially might be feeling disappointed because I understand your enthusiasm and excitement to want more. But I would love to continue growing this friendship with you. How does that feel for you? And when we enter into a space like that, what do you think happens? Right now, we can both have an empowered decision to move forth and create this new relationship, this new friendship from a very clear place. And for me, my perspective is that means that there's infinite possibilities of growth and connection in a relationship like that, even a platonic friendship.